Have you ever stopped and truly looked at a paper banknote? It's just a piece of paper, inked, right? But hold it, feel its texture, the wear it's accrued through hundreds of exchanges. That piece of paper, or a metal coin, is a neutral promise of value. It is something you receive, and it is yours, completely, absolutely, and anonymously. I grew up believing that cash was power, the power to buy anything you wanted from anyone who accepted it without needing permission or leaving any trace for a corporation or the government. But I have to tell you this, that belief is dying. We are witnessing a silent financial revolution, and it is the single biggest thing happening in the global economy that most people are completely ignoring. I call it the death of cash. This is not a story about the convenience of not having to go to an ATM. This is an investigation into control, surveillance, and the true price we are paying for digital convenience. I'm going to show you which countries are leading the race to eliminate cash and why this process, when it is complete in the US, will be a fatal blow to the individual privacy we cherish. Stick around, because what you are about to hear will make you consider withdrawing some cash right after this analysis is over. The power of the bearer asset. To understand the threat, we must first honor what we are losing. Cash is a bearer asset. Economically and legally, ownership of cash is determined simply by possession. If it is in your hand, it is yours. No proof, no registration required. Imagine a spy movie. Cash is always the currency of choice. Why? Because it leaves no trace. In our daily lives, this anonymity is an irreplaceable wall protecting our civil liberties. Political freedom. If you buy a book critical of the government, donate to a fringe political activist group, or attend a protest, you do not want your financial transaction recorded and labeled by some database. Cash allows you to engage in these behaviors without financial censorship. Medical privacy. Buying a medication, attending a therapy session, or purchasing health-sensitive items. Do you want your insurance company or potential employer to have access to this ledger of spending? Absolutely not. System failure protection. Cash works even when the power is out, the internet is down, or your bank has suspended operations due to a technical glitch. It is our fundamental backup against chaos. When you pay with a credit card or a mobile app, your transaction passes through at least 3 data portals: your bank, the network, Visa, MasterCard, or Apple, and the merchant. Every single one of these portals stores, analyzes, and potentially monetizes your data. What intrigues and concerns me is why are countries around the world embracing this trade-off so quickly? The cashless pioneers, a global warning. Let's take a quick flight around the world to see what the cashless future actually looks like. These are the places that are not just heading toward, but are rapidly accelerating into that future. Sweden, the technological dystopia. Sweden is a high-tech fairy tale, but also a grave warning. They could soon become the world's first truly cashless society. The data. Only 1% of the total value of payments in Sweden is made with cash. Most banks no longer hold or dispense cash. The official reason, government and banks argue that eliminating cash reduces crime, money laundering, and tax evasion. It sounds reasonable. The other truth, it creates an environment where every single transaction is controllable. It gives financial institutions and the government total visibility into every citizen's financial life. Social ramifications. This shift has created financial discrimination against the elderly, who grew up in the cash era, and those in rural areas with spotty internet access. They are suddenly excluded from a significant part of the economy. This is technological authoritarianism wrapped in convenience. Banks in Norway and Denmark have openly lobbied to eliminate the obligation to accept cash. This is not just about customer convenience, it's about bank profitability. Handling, transporting, and securing cash is an enormous cost. By digitizing everything, banks eliminate this cost and simultaneously gather a wealth of valuable data. China, the CBDC precedent. In Asia, the dynamic is even more complex. China has pioneered mobile payments, WeChat Pay and Alipay, creating a near-cashless society. This provides the perfect groundwork for their rollout of the e-yuan, the digital yuan, one of the world's most advanced central bank digital currency projects. CBDC. This is not Bitcoin or other decentralized cryptocurrencies. This is state-issued, centrally controlled currency designed to replace physical cash. When you combine a cashless economy with a state-controlled CBDC, you have a system where every transaction can be monitored in real time and can be integrated into other systems, like China's social credit system. This is the scenario we face. If your shopping habits do not align with the state's political objectives, your account could be restricted or censored. This is total control over private economic life. The American collapse. 3 phases. Americans tend to think, that won't happen here, the Constitution protects us. But look at the reality. The death of cash in the U.S. is happening in 3 phases. Phase 1, the opium of convenience. The rise of payment apps like Venmo, Cash App, and Zelle have made transferring money too easy. We have traded the slowness of cash for speed. The problem? These apps convert a private act, handing over cash, into a recorded transaction on massive servers. This data, collected under the guise of convenience, is a goldmine for corporations and the IRS. Phase 2, the weaponization of catastrophe. COVID-19 was the most powerful catalyst. Cash was labeled as dirty, a health risk. This created an incredible public psychological shift. People willingly converted to contactless payments. This is a prime example of how a crisis can be used to accelerate a pre-existing agenda. Fear replaced caution. Phase 3, corporate surveillance. The giant payment corporations, Visa, MasterCard, are not merely processors. They are intelligence-gathering agencies on your behavior. They know whether you buy alcohol at 2 a.m. or are a frequent fast food customer. They can construct a full psychological model of your health, habits, and financial stability. The result? This data is sold to advertisers, insurance companies, and other third parties. You are being priced based on your spending behavior. A health insurer could charge you more if they see you frequently buy from unhealthy places. If you are an American and you love your privacy, you must realize that financial privacy is the bedrock of personal privacy. If they know everything you buy, everywhere you go, and everything you believe, that is a terrifying amount of power to hand over to anyone. The CBDC threat, the true loss of freedom. This is the core of our investigation and the part that sends shivers down the spine of freedom activists. The true threat of a CBDC to privacy in the U.S. Currently, your money is held in commercial banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, etc. These banks are intermediaries, and they are protected by some privacy laws. A CBDC would change this. CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. A CBDC would be a new form of electronic money, directly controlled by the Federal Reserve or central bank. Your money would be a direct liability of the state, not of a commercial bank. Programmability, the privacy nightmare. Programmability is a benign-sounding technical term, but it is the end of financial freedom. Central bank officials globally have discussed the possibility of CBDCs being programmed to enforce expiration policies. Aid or stimulus money could be programmed to lose value if not spent within 60 or 90 days, forcing people to spend. Restrict spending. Money could be coded to be used only for certain types of goods, e.g. food, healthcare, and prohibit spending on others, e.g. weapons, fossil fuels, or even certain types of books. The narrative, dramatic, intriguing. Understand this clearly. Cash is neutral. It doesn't care what you buy. A CBDC has the potential to be non-neutral. It is a tool for enforcing behavior. Once physical cash is eliminated and a CBDC is implemented, you will no longer be able to withdraw your money from the system and make an anonymous transaction. If you are politically or socially frozen out or censored, you will have nowhere to go. You cannot buy food. You cannot exist. This is the trap. They will sell it to you under the guise of convenience and efficiency, but the real price is absolute power over your economic life. The counterattack, how to fight back. The death of cash is a process, not a single event, but there is still time to fight.
In the U.S., there has been significant resistance. Several major cities like San Francisco and New York have passed laws requiring businesses to accept cash. It's a civil rights law. Refusing cash is discriminatory against the unbanked, often the poor, immigrants, or the elderly. By protecting the right to use cash, we are protecting the right to equal financial access. The growing interest in Bitcoin and other decentralized cryptocurrencies, though volatile, has proven there is a huge demand for third-party, permissionless transactions. It is a direct rejection of the centralized financial system. However, crypto still requires the internet and electricity. Cash does not. Cash is your insurance policy. Think of cash this way. It is your insurance policy. If a natural disaster hits, if the power grid fails, if the bank servers are hacked, or if a government turns authoritarian and begins financial censorship, physical cash is the only thing that cannot be switched off. It is the power you hold, not the power you are permitted to use. This is the moment we must choose. In the battle between convenience and liberty, we are choosing convenience, and it is costing us our last line of defense against total surveillance. The death of cash is not an accident. It is a global strategy being driven by the self-interest of banks, payment corporations, and governments who want greater control over the economy and the private behavior of their citizens. I'm not saying you have to become a cash-only isolationist, but I am urgently asking you to wake up to what is happening. Personal call to action. Use cash often. Use cash for sensitive transactions, coffee, medication, books, donations. By doing this, you are sending a signal that the demand for cash remains. Keep reserves. Keep a physical amount of cash on hand, outside the banking system. It is your unfreezable emergency fund. Educate and speak out. Understand the Federal Reserve's CBDC discussions and its implications. Do not let programmable money become the standard without vigorous public debate. Cash is a statement. It is a statement that you are a free individual who has the right to transact without the permission of any intermediary institution. The next time you are at a store, try paying with cash. It is not just a transaction, it is an act of preserving your own privacy. Think about it. Are you willing to let your government or your card company know everything you buy, everywhere you go, and everything you believe? If the answer is no, you must defend physical cash. Thank you for watching. I'd love to know your thoughts. Can cash survive this digital onslaught? Or is our privacy the necessary price for a cashless society? Leave a comment below.